On Grandfather's farm. When Mother said only one more week till vacation, we jumped for joy, Buddy told his grandfather. And Grandfather had just brought Buddy and Bernice out to the farm for their summer vacation. And how happy they were. Grandpa called them his little wildflowers because they were so bright and gay. Grandmother said it was hard to tell who were the gayest, she and Grandpa or little Buddy and Bernice. And on the last day of school, Bernice and Buddy told their friends all about their grandfather's farm. "I'm so glad my grandpa lives in the country," said Bernice, "and I think he has the nicest farm in the whole world. I like to go to school in town, but in town there is no place to play that is all our own. It's so flat and crowded. It's all the streets and sidewalks. There are no streams for wading, and there's not a single hill for coasting, and there are hardly any trees to climb, but my grandpa's farm has everything for playing. And there's sand enough to make a whole village of Eskimo houses, and when we feel like playing house, there are all the things we need. There are mossy logs for nice soft beds, there are big tree stumps for tables, and little ones for chairs. There are pine cones, acorns, and everything to cook with." "Yes," said Buddy, "and when you feel like pirates, well, you just steal out on the water and catch the ships and all the men and bring them back to the shore again. And when you feel like Indians, there are all the trees and hills to hide behind to do the shooting. Bing! You can make arrows whiz, and you never need to be afraid of shooting anyone that's walking by. There's a real log house where you can scare and scalp the white folks, and you can yell and whoop like Indians, and no one ever says, 'Shh, keep still, you'll scare the neighbors.' In town you have to be so careful, but Grandpa's farm is just the place for all the fun you want. And then, all the animals," he said. "Every place you look there's something flying in the air or singing in the trees or scampering over the meadow. We can't learn the names of half of them, Grandpa has so many. But there's a crow on Grandpa's farm that is going to be my pet. I like him because he's so saucy. I shall have to tell you the name of my pet, for you could never guess it. His name is Impy." Once when I thought I'd lost him, Grandmother looked out of the kitchen window. "There," she said, "is your little imp of blackness, scaring an old owl out of the tree." And right then and there I named him Impy, and I think the name just suits him. Impy is the bravest pet I have. He isn't afraid of anything. He scolds as he proudly walks about in his shiny black coat. He looks as if he were the boss of everything, and I guess he is too. I like best to take him with me in the field when Grandpa plants the corn. He likes to follow behind the planter and to pick up the kernels as they fall on the ground. And Grandpa lets him do it too. He says that crows do more good than harm. They eat cutworms and grubs and beetles that would destroy more grain than the crows would eat. "The crow will take a few hills," my grandpa said, "but the grub may take a whole field. Impy eats even grasshoppers and field mice, and once he had a snake for dinner. Impy was hatched from a pretty bluish-green egg with brown markings on it. His home was a very strong little nest that his mother crow had made out of sticks, weed stalks, and corn husks. Last summer, Bernice left her corn husk doll laying out in the yard. In the spring, the mother crow found it and used the doll to build the nest. The first time I saw Impy, he was standing on the rim of the nest, calling just as loud as he could, 'Caw, caw,' and he was hungry, and he wanted Father Crow to hurry up and come back with a nice fat grub or beetle. Once the gypsy moths were in the woods, stripping the leaves off the trees, and then Grandfather Crow took Impy and his 4 brothers and sisters to the woods for a feast of gypsy moths. Grandpa said he was sure that the crows had saved the woods. So you see, my pet is not only a very handsome fellow, but he is a very useful friend. And once when my grandpa was a little boy, he had a pet crow. I guess he was even smarter than Impy, from what my grandpa has told me. My grandpa's pet crow could even talk. When Grandpa would ask him, "What's your name?" he would answer, "Jacob, Jacob." And whenever a stranger would come into the yard, Jacob would call to Grandpa, "Come out, come out." Once, when a strange dog came up to the house, Jacob didn't bother to call anyone to come out. He just hopped sideways up to the dog and then pecked him on the tail until he drove him off out of the yard. Although Jacob could not swim, he had a lot of fun on the water. In the spring, when the ice broke up and floated down the stream, Jacob had many long rides on the ice. He would perch himself proudly upon a big cake of ice and float down with it. And sometimes Jacob would see something to eat on another cake of ice. Then he would hop on the cake to get it. So he would ride on until he came to a narrow bend in the stream, and there he'd get off the ice and fly back to where he first got on. And down the stream he would ride again as before, and Grandpa used to have the best time watching Jacob play like this for hours. But Jacob did not always behave himself as well as that. He got into all kinds of mischief. Once he picked all the clothespins off the clothesline and dropped the clean clothes on the ground. And then Jacob got a scolding. But he had a hard time learning to be good. Another time, Grandpa's mother thought she had lost her ring and her pretty gold breastpin. She looked the house over for them. And then one day she told Grandpa to climb up and look along the eaves of the woodshed. "I'm beginning to think that Jacob has been in my jewel case," she said. "I don't know who else could have taken them." And there, sure enough, in the corner of the eaves were the gold ring and the lovely breastpin. And there were 2 dimes, 3 bright and new nickels, and a lot of pennies, and a solid silver spoon besides. Jacob had hidden them all away for safekeeping, and every time after that, when anything shiny was lost, Grandpa had to climb up on the woodshed and look into Jacob's treasure box, and there he always found it. "We have had lots of good times on our Grandpa's farm," said Bernice, "but I think the most exciting time that we had was last summer, and it was the night we chased the fireflies. Buddy called for me to come, and he said the whole meadow was twinkling with little runaway stars. And then away we ran. We chased them and tried to catch them, but every time we reached for one of the little lights, it went out. On and off, the little lights kept flashing. At first, Buddy was afraid even to go near them. He thought they would burn his fingers, but Grandma told him not to be afraid. She said they could not burn us. The light we get from the burning gas or oil or from electricity is hot and burns, but the firefly's light is cold and cannot burn you. That is one of nature's wonders, Grandmother said. But Grandfather, who is very careful about the right name for everything, says that these little creatures are not flies at all. Our neighbors call them lightning bugs, but Grandpa says they are neither flies or bugs. They are true beetles. And when Grandmother was a little girl, she called them little live lanterns. And I think that is about as good a name as the one Buddy gave them. I wish I knew just how the firefly makes its light. My Grandpa knows. It seems he knows about everything. Grandpa says it's very interesting to know what makes the light, and he promised to tell us all about it when we are a little bigger. There are 4 new babies on Grandpa's farm. Bernice thinks they are the cunningest animals on the whole farm, but Buddy and Bernice can never get close to them. Woodchucks are so very shy. Every time the children try to get near them, Daddy or Mother Woodchuck will give a shrill whistle, then away the little ones would scamper into their home in the ground. Bernice saw Mother and Daddy Woodchuck one day last October, just before they went into their home in the ground for the winter. How fat and plump they were then. They looked so funny, their stomachs almost dragged on the ground. And all summer long, they had been going to the field for their breakfast and had helped themselves to Grandpa's green grass and clover. They visited his garden, too, and filled up on peas, beans, and cabbage. An old woodchuck will risk his whiskers for a mess of fresh green peas, Grandpa told Buddy with a laugh. But woodchucks need to eat a lot before they go to sleep for the winter. They may not get another meal till spring. Besides, the food they eat makes fat to keep them warm all winter long. And one day, Grandpa took the children over to the place where the woodchuck was making his home. It's a wonderful sight, Grandpa said, to watch a woodchuck dig his home under the ground. He digs the tunnel with his 4 feet and pushes the dirt out with his hind feet. His sharp claws and partly webbed toes make a good shovel. He keeps his ears pressed down tight while he shovels so that no dirt can get into them. If a rock or a root is in the woodchuck's way, he will either go around it or else he will use his sharp teeth as a pickaxe and loosen it or cut it away. And when the woodchuck has his tunnel long enough, he builds a branch road to the top of the ground and makes the opening under a bunch of grass or stone. But you will never see a bit of earth here because this is the secret back door to his home. When he is done, the woodchuck hollows out a room big enough for 2 of them to turn around in, and Mrs. Woodchuck then makes a basket of her cheeks and carries in fine grass from the meadow for a soft, warm bed. In this warm tunnel bed, late last fall, the woodchucks curled up into balls of fur and fell fast asleep. And it was in this warm bed, early in May, that the baby woodchucks were born. They did not come out of their homes at once, but as soon as the weather showed the first signs of staying warm, the woodchucks came out. The babies stumbled along the dark halls of their home until they reached the opening that leads to the great outdoors. "Don't they look cunning in their little brown fur coats?" Buddy asked when he saw them. "They have great fun as they roll and tumble about and chase each other all over the meadow, but they never come close enough for me to pet them." "Next summer when you come," said Grandpa, "I will try to have one all tamed and trained for you. Then you may have a pet woodchuck too." "Oh, goody glad," shouted the children. "Don't forget, Grandpa, will you?"